Hey, this is Brandon Wright, Wright Stuff Radio Show, and we're doing this little video on after our radio show, and it really comes down to employees, right? I mean, we all want to find great employees, we want to keep great employees, and so we're going to ask our guests today, Scott Marker, NLP Secure, Jody Sedrick with Zenware, on how do you keep good employees? Because having good employees is going to help grow your business. So I guess the first question, we're going to start with startups, is when you're in the startup phase, how do you recruit good employees? Because I think when you get down to a startup business, you're coming to the point where you don't have a lot of money. No. So you got to have something that's bigger than a paycheck that gets them to identify with your company. Scott, what would you say?
I'm going to let Jody go first, since he's doing it.
All right, Jody.
I think that is probably the biggest challenge as a small company is, you have limited resources, you're trying to attract good talent, and it really comes down to you have to have a good vision, and you have to be able to articulate that vision, and you have to, more importantly, be able to share that vision with good people so that they catch the fire and are excited to help you build that business. When you get the fire under them, they will help you build it, and it'll create opportunities not only for you as a company, but also with customers. It's fun, but very challenging opportunity to take on.
And it's probably, I would guess, a unique individual. I mean, you got to have someone that says, I'm not deep in debt up to my eyeballs. You got to have someone that is passionate about what they do, not about making as much money. And they're the type that looks into the future, which sometimes an individual, they're just focused on today. I want to do something a year from now. That's not your type of person.
Yeah, and sometimes that's a really good point, because one of the things that we've done is we've said, look, we know that we're going to be less than what other big players are paying. But if we can go out to BSU and we can identify really good, hungry talent, say, look, we have this huge opportunity on the software side. This is what we're building. We can attract them. We're going to pair you with a more senior guy, our owner, Dave Wazin and Spencer Wazin. They've been in the business 20 years. We're going to do paired programming, and we're going to do some amazing things. And that's really helped because we've been able to groom our own talent. And now they've been with us. Some of them have been with us 4 years now.
Yeah. Which is, they're on the brink of leaving, aren't they, Scott? I mean, if they're salespeople, you be prepared, they're going to lose, because the national average is they leave every 4 years. So let's get down to the sales staff. We have a new company that's a startup. We have limited funds. Typically, and this is what you've said in the past, and I agree because I do it in my own company, offer a higher base for a salesperson with a lower commission versus the standard high commission, low base. Right. They can't afford a high base right now. So would you change your philosophy when it's a startup company if they buy into the vision of the company?
Well, if you're a startup, depending on the money habit, usually you don't have a lot of money, so you're gonna have to sell the vision.
I'm a seller anyway.
You're gonna have to sell. Yeah, you're gonna have to sell the vision of the company. But I'm absolutely for just a good, solid. Because look at him as a professional, not some unique robot creature, right? With high, the little carrot in front of him the whole time. But again, stress on marketing, lead generation, right? Content to get people coming to you, and you can really train your salesperson how to understand your products and services to be able to communicate that to the people that are coming to you that are interested, right? So then that makes the salesperson successful versus the old school is companies, well, I don't want to give them a high base because they'll just run it out for a year and then they'll be gone, right? Well, no, that's a terrible attitude. That's a poor attitude. You got to look at that salesperson as an investment, right? But you got to make them so they're not starving and having unethical behavior on every single sale, but reminding them that their job is to bring business, close business development,
bring the bacon,
bring the bacon in. But if you're focusing their time on really understanding how you can help them, they're going to have more success than the old school of chasing after people and closing techniques.
Here's the key to a small business and sales. If you have to execute on what you sell. Because when you execute, it makes the sales guy's job that much easier because you build your reputation, you build relationships, and then naturally your business is going to grow and your sales opportunities for the sales professional that's hungry is going to grow as well.
because the salesperson's going to really lack trust in their own company, which means their sales are going to go down if they don't trust the back end of what they're selling is performing. Yeah. And I've seen that in my own business. I mean, there's been times when I've known the technicians I have on staff when I owned a carpet cleaning company that, gosh, this buddy of mine wants to have carpets cleaned. I'm like, I just don't trust whether they do a good job. It's a 50-50, and it sucks as a business owner.
Yeah.
But I also understand too, Scott, when you said that business owner who has had people leave, they don't want to offer a big base because of that fear. I mean, that's something we've all gone through. So we can definitely understand and relate to it, but we got to get over it and say, look, we're focused on this new person now. What is it that we can do? All right, we get burned. The person doesn't work out. We have a bigger vision of how we can sell that. So here's another question that I think is a very interesting. In a growing company, you start off with the owner typically doing sales, right? Like what you said. Now we want to move up to the next level. Now owners wear lots of hats. Should we, as we start adding our first and second salespeople on, is it crucial to hire a sales manager to start selling first, and then when the sales get up enough to bring other salespeople underneath them? Or should we, the business owner, just manage the salespeople ourselves, hire them, and I don't think we're going to do as good a job as we would if we had a sales manager? Because we're talking about a high-growth company that right now I'm going to add my first or second salesperson on, but I want to have 10 salespeople to reach a $8, $9, $10 million sales goal 5 years from now. What would you suggest?
I think that's going to depend on the company, because when I was building my business, I knew that I could sell mobile software better than anybody else, right? So I knew how to train somebody, so I took that role on. Now that we're 6 years into the business, we're starting to get the revenue. Now I'm starting to evaluate, do I want to hire that senior level sales manager / business development professional to not only take us to the next level, because I need to be running the business and carrying the vision, and actually give that responsibility to him to manage my team and take us to that next level. It's a delicate balance, because you gotta grow smartly, and that's probably the biggest challenge as a small business.
Yeah, and I think you'll probably fail at it and then say, well, that didn't work and I thought it would, and then try something else. Scott, what would you say?
It's like the book years and years ago, E-Myth. Really is, you get to the point as an owner that you're doing everything yourself. If you're going to keep growing, pretty soon you got to put that hat on somebody else. But a lot of companies, and I've read sales books over the years, and all they said, you got to be a coach. And I see that most companies, as they grow, sales managers end up being a paper pusher under huge pressure to meet usually stretch goals that are manageable, right? So again, I'm a big believer in looking at a good coach, right? And coaching a new salesperson mentality, right? And yes, you're still managing, but you're coaching the person versus not leading them, basically threatening them a lot of times and stuff. So anyway, first thing is, you get to a certain size, you're going to have to find somebody to take your hat off, because you can't do everything. You can't be the CEO and you can't be the sales manager, so you're going to have to bring somebody aboard. But then when that person comes aboard, I think you're going to have to be, this day and age, you really need to understand, have a good sales team. There has to be a paradigm shift to, they really are coaching these people and developing them and caring about them and saying, hey, we want you here for 10 years, not 2. Treasure Valley's 2. Mm-hmm. The national average, I did an informal survey, Treasure Valley's 2, national average is 4 years for salespeople. What a huge cost to a business, right? So
having a turnover. Salespeople leave every 2 years.
Yes.
So we're double what the national average is.
That was, I just, again, that's 50-ish people that I just went around and asked their companies. None of them wanted to be on recorded their names. And these are reputable. A lot of them. Mm-hmm. I said, what do you think it is? And they said, Scott, I don't even like to talk to the other salespeople, because
at least they're
like
measuring it.
Door.
Because if they're measuring it, now they're being aware of what the issue is. And
I tell you, a lot of companies don't measure the turnover. They're in denial, because there's a local successful company here that I talked to one of the salespersons, been there for years and years. You know him, great guy, but they no sales rep makes it, and it's a great company. No, none of them make it past 1 year for the last 5 years.
Wow.
Now, how can't they? And that's pretty. How can't you?
That's
see a
standard, yeah,
problem?
for them.
Yeah, here's the challenge as I see it, is that most sales environments are driven by monthly goals.
Yep.
So what happens on the 28th of the month? Every sales guy gets up and they're trying to hit the quota. And so it creates an environment of desperation selling instead of consultation selling, and developing a business relationship where people want to do business with you instead of feeling pressured to do business. Because people want to buy, but they don't like to be sold. And so,
what you're saying is they're potentially pushing a great opportunity, a great lead, but they're pushing it too fast, and all of a sudden it goes not accepted right away.
Yeah.
All right, last question. How much time should we spend sales training, or even training for someone in production? It doesn't really matter. How much time should we develop as owners and managers into our people on a weekly basis, training-wise?
I think that could be some type of, here's the training we need to go to, kind of standard training. But just like I'm a big sports guy, jiu-jitsu, instructors and stuff, and each other, fellow teammates and stuff you're working at, you're always improving. You just,
every day.
Every day. It's like a mental, like you go to, most sales training is an event, a week, and then go get them, right? No, it's like, yeah, you might have that to learn the basics, but from there, it's going to be like, hey, we do it at my work. We sit down at the table, hey, what'd you do? We usually have one person point, here's what I did good this week. I hope it can help you out. Here's a specific situation, right? Oh, and by the way, what's the challenge? Oh, and we all kind of collaborate and try to get better. And we all talk about,
I like that.
When we screw up, we all say, hey, here's how I screwed this deal up.
So maybe something daily.
Yeah.
And after different large events.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the big things, like with my sales guy, often I will go in and I will just listen to him sell. And then after he's done, we'll evaluate it. All right, what could you have done here? This was awesome. That was great. You directed the conversation this way. But, having that self-evaluation right after an event is huge. It makes a big difference. So I think you have to be constantly, while you want to push that to the sales manager, at some point you're going to have to step away as the owner and CEO and give that responsibility to them. But until you're grooming them, till they can do that, it's a daily thing because you want to grow it.
I said that was the last question, but I came up with another good quick one. Should a salesperson wear a suit and tie? Yes or no? Jody, you go first.
It depends.
We can't ask Mr. Suit
It
Tie.
depends. So if you're selling poopies, don't be going to the farm in a tie. But if you're selling to a doctor, wear a tie.
Yeah. That's what I told him. Lately, I have a very been fortunate to have a lot of medical facilities sign up for me lately, and so it kind of depends on what I'm going to be doing that I dress like this. So medical, a lot of times doctors just seem to.
And what does it do for you, though? I mean, I think, because there's been times in my career, I'm a working business owner, so I'm always wearing Carhartts and a sweatshirt, but I'm on job sites and crawl spaces, etc. So that fits my part. But I've also been a business owner, too, where I'm not out working, and if I'm in the office, I'm in a shirt, tie, I don't wear suits, and dress slacks. But I think, even as a salesperson, too, it changes your impression of yourself that you feel like you're more of a professional.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big one. It may be only a mental mindset or mind shift of your own, but I guarantee you it's going to increase sales because you just feel better, you feel more professional, and you feel like you're fitting the part.
How you feel makes a big difference about your confidence going into any
Especially
situation.
if you're overweight, right? I mean, or you're not shaving, if you got a scruffy beard like me, that potentially could get in front of a very clean-cut individual, and they may have a different perception. And they may not be thinking that, but you do.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you're overdressed, you feel uncomfortable.
Yep.
If you're underdressed, you feel uncomfortable. So know your customer so that you know how to be dressed for success at that time.
Yeah. Talking with Jody Sedrick with Zenware, Scott Marker, NLP Secure. Scott's got a new book coming out, so make sure that you connect with him on LinkedIn. I find these questions very interesting, and I think that any type of person in business or business owner or employee, it doesn't really matter. I mean, these are useful conversations, and I think we discussed how we dress. We've discussed how to hire people. lots of different stuff. Plus, you can catch us on Right Stuff Radio on the podcast and listen to the same show that we talked similar conversations with these two guys before. Thanks for watching Right Stuff Radio. That's fun.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Let's get